Welcome back to Break Free from the BS. Dub-a-dub-dub-dub-dub. I need to get a jingle. I've decided. It's time. It's time for a jingle. So watch this space on that. But welcome back to Break Free from the BS, the podcast that promises to leave you either challenged, changed, or at the very least, entertained. And I'm going to be dead honest with you. This week, you are listening to a very hot and sticky Louise. My new flat is gloriously cool when there is a breeze or there is wind, because I've only got skylights in my flat. I'm at the very top of a building. So I can just whip open one on one side of the building and whip open one on the other. And there's this lovely breeze that comes through. However, tonight there is zero breeze and it is still showing as... Let's have a look at what the temperature is saying together. Oh, airplane mode's on because I'm chatting to you guys. Right, it's saying it's only 21 degrees. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all because it's 100% way hotter. Oh, the weather's looking lovely actually for like the foreseeable future. Isn't that nice? We're actually getting a summer this year. That's very exciting. Anyway, it's hot as balls in my flat right now and I can't put the fan on because then you guys would hear it. So if you hear me taking regular hydration breaks, a bit like the World Cup, it's because I'm very hot. I could just cut them out, but I like to leave them in for the effect. Anyway, you may have noticed, if you are a regular listener, in which case, big up to you, and I love you, that there was no episode last week. For the first week since I started this podcast, quite a few weeks ago now. I want to say we're on episode... I'm going to do another fact check. So far, this episode is just me checking something on my phone. I should know this really off the top of my head, but I don't. This is going to be episode 11. So that's very exciting. But yeah, there wasn't one last week because your girl was exhausted. To be totally honest, totally and utterly exhausted. And I thought that would be the perfect subject to talk about in this week's episode, in homage to the week that I missed, which is burnout, baby. Burnout, burnout, burnout. And this is all my interpretation, my experience of what I think is burnout. I'm sure it's different for different people. But you'll notice on the last episode, I spoke a little bit about my pillars and things that I do to keep myself feeling my best and just feeling good, basically, in life. And how I've had quite a few things going on over the last couple of months that have meant that some of those pillars I have put down. And for the God knows how many time in my life, my body has proven to me why that is a bad idea. A bad idea long term. And one thing I do want to call out is there are going to be periods in our life where we are pedal to the metal. And I wouldn't say it's not a choice, because bottom line is I chose to buy a house. I am choosing to change careers. I've chosen actively the things that have then demanded my energy, my time, my attention. So I don't want to say it's not a choice, because I've actively asked for and chosen these things in my life. But I think what I mean is sometimes life is going to be on, it's going to be go, right? And you have no choice but to just step the fuck up in those periods of your life. And I'm very conscious that, I'm in that period where I am burning it hard and I can't seem to find the space and time to bring in pillars that normally keep me sane and healthy and happy, because there's just so much. I wake up and my brain is like, boom, straight away, a million things to do. And sometimes that's going to happen in your life. And that could be for things that you choose. That might be things that you don't choose. I used the example in the last podcast I spoke about where a family member was ill and my dad had to step up. Sometimes it's not going to be things you choose, but life is going to have big demands from you. And what the last couple of weeks has taught me, again, and I say again because this is definitely not my first time learning this lesson, but as I always say to you guys, life is cyclical, and you learn the lesson and then you unlearn it and then you learn it again, and the spiral never ends, right? You're constantly learning things about yourself, about your world, about your experience. But this last couple of weeks has reminded me that you can get used to the on mode. You can basically get used to being back in survival mode and just waking up and it being go, go, go from the moment you wake up to the moment that you go to sleep. And in the very short moments that you get some downtime, filling in that with things that sort of numb you out rather than things that actually top your, or as I say, empty your cup to make space for the other stuff. And it's definitely reminded me that, yes, there are going to be periods of your life where it is all go, go, go. But you have to also be aware of when you are then creating that environment. So I use the example of my flat, right? I've moved house, I've been renovating a kitchen. The bathroom is also needing renovating or like stripping out. And I started to sort of do it all at the same time. And I was just like, whoa. Whoa there, Louise. The kitchen is a massive job in itself. You do not need to do the bathroom at the same time. If you live with a shitty bathroom for 3 to 6 months, whatever. Chill, chill, chill. And I had to remind myself that I'm in the house. I've done the bit that's like hard where it's all a bit go because you're packing and you're moving. You've got to move by a certain date and then you've got to call all these companies and do all these things. I've done all of that stuff. So now I'm getting to set the pace. I now get to choose the pace of how the rest of it comes. And it's all with good motivation in the sense of I am a product of my environment. I love living and working in a space that feels beautiful. It feels creative. It stimulates my brain. I truly believe your environment is an extension of your inner world, but it doesn't mean that I've got to do it all at the same time in like a month, right? I get to choose the pace. What's better, me going for another month, absolutely fucking myself health wise? There was a day that I woke up a couple of weeks ago and my entire body felt like I'd been run over by a freaking truck. Like full body flu feeling, but none of the flu symptoms in the head. Just my body was like, bitch, not today. No. And it forced me to stay in bed basically all day to just recoup a bit because I was just pushing it too hard. I was burning it at both ends. And yeah, I just think that we need to remember when we are in control of the pace and that you can almost get addicted to that survival mode and you come away from all of the work that you've done or all of the waking up that you've done in terms of what makes you actually feel good. So for me, singing, dancing, moving my body, cooking whole nourishing foods, spending time in nature, spending time in my community, that's all stuff that keeps my cup from flowing over. That's all stuff that keeps me grounded, keeps me happy. Effectively is all the stuff that makes me feel like I'm in alignment and I'm living the life that I want to be living. So when I put that stuff down for too long, I end up feeling disconnected from myself, disconnected from my friends, disconnected from my purpose, in alignment. And it's not sustainable because then I start to feel really unhappy. And I've had that over the last couple of weeks. It has also annoyingly tied right in with my luteal phase. Of course, it bloody has. And I've had a couple of weeks where I felt really quite low, the lowest I felt in a while. And externally, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I've got all of these amazing things happening. I'm, literally have just moved into my first owned property. I'm about to step into a career that I've dreamed of for so long. So many things are coming to fruition that I've actively wanted. But if my body is in survival mode, in like flight mode, I'm not going to be able to hold it. I'm not going to be able to enjoy it and relish it and soak up all of its deliciousness, right? So I've had a bit of a reminder to just come back to myself, balance the scales, readjust the scales that, yes, I can absolutely want to make my space beautiful. I can want to work on my kitchen. I have a job that I'm still working right now up until the end of the month. I am starting to build the career of my, because that was the other thing. Like, I was really going hard on social media and saw amazing results from that. But it was all just too much. And I had to put something down in the meantime to be able to keep myself above water. So I chose to put down the social media for now. There's just like a couple of posts that I've been putting out, but by no means the level that someone that is looking to grow on that platform would be doing. I skipped last week's podcast. I just gave myself permission to deal with the necessities in life for a little bit, start to come back to my own rituals and routines that help me feel my best self, have conversations with people in my life that I love and trust to let them know that I'm feeling low. That's a fucking big one. I had a chat with some girlfriends the other day, like a handful of days ago, and I just was really honest about the fact that I feel quite low. I feel low and it's confusing, and I just basically talked on it and just let it all come out. And I walked away from that conversation feeling so much lighter, because a problem shared really is a problem halved. So I just want to also remind you of that. If you are having a hard time right now, talk to someone. You're not even talking to them to find answers. You're just giving yourself permission to admit out loud, I'm struggling right now. Humaning is humaning, and it's hurting. It's hurting right now. So I think I wanted to do this episode on that subject of burnout for a couple of reasons. Number one, just to let you know where I've been at. And trust me, I am so excited for what's coming. I have such big things planned for my life, for this podcast, for my socials, for the work that I'm putting out into the world. I am so deeply excited. I'm so excited about what's coming. So excited. But I know I've learnt the lesson by now that for as long as I'm living over there and I'm like chasing down that thing that's in front of me, and I'm not just embodying it and being in it and thinking, okay, in this moment right now, what decision does that person make? What decision does future Louise make in this moment? It becomes an unfun journey to get there. Does that make sense? Like, if I'm constantly living just chasing the thing rather than enjoying the process of embodying being the person that has the thing, number one, it means I can't hold it when it comes. Number two, you get so lost in the future that you actually forget that today is part of that. Future you doesn't exist without current you making the decisions that future you needed you to make to be able to get there, right? So yeah, over the past week, I've just really reminded myself to take a deep breath, come back to myself, come back to my rituals and my routines that ground me, that keep me sane, and remember that I set the pace of my life as much as possible. And that right now, I can just slowly start to make the things happen that I want to make happen in my life, and make space for me to feel my best, to feel happy, to feel thriving in myself. Because ultimately, that's just going to be a far more fun way to get there, rather than burn at both ends hard and fast and get there, but at what cost? You know, I'm just taking the beat to remember that I'm out of survival mode now and that I don't need to rush. So I'm kind of encouraging you, dear listener, if you are finding yourself in a space of every day you wake up and your life is just go, 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 go from the beginning, I want you to just consider, how long has that been the case? How long have you been living in a life where there's just not a minute to yourself anytime? How are you feeling? Like, how does it feel to be in that life? And if the answer is flat out every single day for as long as I can remember, and I feel like shit. I don't feel joy. I don't feel present. I don't feel fulfilled. I want you to just stop and think about, what is it that is consuming all of your time? Is it needed? And it might be, as I say, sometimes life demands are life demands. Can you in any way change how you're moving through that thing to make it easier to manage, to hold? And if you can't, what's the reality in terms of how long do you need to really sustain that for? Where are there moments that you can still, for yourself, to just do something that drills a hole in your cup to let some of the pressures of life run out? And that's why I like to think of these self-care practices that I do as me drilling a hole in my cup rather than filling my cup up, because life fills your cup up in terms of, like, stresses. And the way I see self-care practices is you're drilling holes in that bucket to let that stuff drain out. So then when big things happen, or even minor things, it doesn't spill your cup over. And I know when I'm in survival mode because I start to get triggered by shit that never comes on my radar. Like, we drove to Cornwall to go to Ben Howard at Eden Sessions. And I noticed as I was driving down there, I was getting like aggy with other drivers that to be fair, were driving like twats. But normally someone like drive like a twat, and it just wouldn't even register. It just wouldn't even register. Or I'd be like, huh. I would just find it funny. Whereas I noticed that I was like, "Ooh, fucking twat," and it was angering me. And that, there's like signs that my cup is too full when things that don't normally annoy me, trigger me, whatever it is, start to. Or things that normally I could just let. I also had a stone fly into my windscreen on the way down, and that I was like, oh, fucking hell, now I've got to ring my insurance. I fucking hate doing this. Then I was getting passed from pillar to post. And it's like another thing to be stressed about, another thing to be angry about. And I do find that, because I'm a lucky girl, and I always say that I'm a lucky girl, I'm a lucky girl, I'm a lucky girl. And over the past not a few weeks, over the past couple of months, it feels like there's been a string of things that are unlucky, right? And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Why do these things keep happening to me? What's going on? Why has my luck changed? And I've realized that it's not that my luck has changed, it's that the attention that I give to these things has changed. I definitely had bigger shit happen when I was looking after myself and was in a good headspace that went straight over my head. And I was like, it is what it is. It's happened. There's absolutely no point dwelling in it. Let it go. Much, much bigger things. But because I'd got into this space of feeling burnt at both ends, feeling tetchy, not feeling my best self, feeling low, all of these little, what I would call inconveniences, then are this big, like, oh, now a fucking screen's cracked, I've got my MOT on, and it does feel like bad luck, but it's actually that I truly believe it's that our attention is really directing in towards the things. So then we really notice them. Like, I'd actually say that most people's luck is fairly balanced. Like, they win some, they lose some, right? Yin yang. But your brain can deceive you into thinking you're really heavy one way or the other if you're telling it to look for that evidence. So if I'm going around like, I'm a lucky girl, I'm going to constantly see little moments where I'm like, I'm lucky, drivers letting me out, things like that. Lucky. Whereas if I'm feeling unlucky, I'm going to see drivers cutting me up. And it's not to say that there might be little periods of your life where things definitely are happening more frequently that one would say are quote unquote bad. But again, that's just a matter of perspective. I actually did Reiki level 1 recently, and Leanne, the woman that was doing the training, brought up that Chinese proverb where, if you haven't heard it, there's a Chinese farmer and his son, and they own farmland, and they have a couple of horses, and the horses escape the paddock and they go running off. And the neighbors all come around, they go, oh my God, that's terrible, because the horses are part of their labor. Without the horses, the farm work becomes near on impossible. So the neighbors all come over, oh my God, this is terrible, terrible news. And the farmer goes, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't want to butcher this, but this is the general gist. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The neighbours leave. A couple of days later, the horses return, and with them, they've brought a bunch of wild horses. So they've gained literally 10 horses. The neighbours all rush round. Oh my God, this is amazing news. He goes, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. A couple of days later, the son is trying to break in one of the wild horses. He falls, he breaks his leg. The neighbours all come round. Oh my God, this is terrible news. He's so important to you on the farm. How are you going to run the farm now? This is terrible news. And the farmer goes, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. A few days after that, the army come round. They're looking for, auto-enrollment of any men under a certain age. The son can't be taken to war because he has a broken leg. Basically, this proverb brings to life when bad things are happening, or quote unquote bad things are happening, you don't actually know whether long term they are good or bad for you. We've all been in relationships that felt really difficult, and when we've left them, we've got all of these lessons that we would never have learned had we have not had that relationship. Or something happens that means we leave that person, and then we find out a bunch of stuff that we didn't know, and we go, oh my God, thank God that thing happened that I thought was the worst thing that happened to me. Thank God it happened. Because in the moment, you truly don't know positive or negative. And I remember vividly when I had a crash in my caddy. Someone drove into me head on in a lane, and it wrote my caddy off. And I loved that fucking caddy. I'd converted it. I put that was my first ever conversion. I loved that van. And I remember being sat on that country lane in the piss wet rain, waiting for the recovery truck to come because I couldn't even drive him off, like he was fucked. And I remember sitting in there, sobbing my heart out. And then I had this moment where I held my chest and I said, there is a reason this is happening right now. There is a reason that has just happened to me. I can't wait to find out, basically. Maybe good, maybe bad. I can't wait to find out why this has just happened to me. And then I went on to get my insurance payout. I bought Ralph, my bigger van. I converted that van from scratch for 3 months. I'd never converted a van at that level in my life. I literally stuck like a bed in my caddy. I fully built out a house on wheels, basically. And I lived in it for 18 months. And that 18 months changed my entire fucking life. I completely changed as a human in that 18 months for the better. My life would not be what it is now without that caddy accident, leading me to that new van, leading me to living in it, leading me to taking a house for winter, leading me to now buying my own flat. My van was effectively my first home for that 18 months. And that would never have happened. I would not have had the funds to do that had I have not been hit head on in that caddy. So you just never know what life events are happening for your good or for your learning, basically, until you get the gift of hindsight. So it doesn't serve to be in this reactive mode of assuming that everything is shit and everything's shitting on you. And I'd fallen back into the trap of feeling like that over the last few weeks. And that's because I'd spent too long burning at both ends, too long in survival mode, and I'd put my pillars down for too long. So it's been a real reminder to me to come home to myself. So I wanted to share that reminder with you. As always, my work, my podcasts, what I put out on social media, even my workshops, I am running it as a human living a human experience. I'm not a guru. I'm not someone that you should put on a pedestal. I'm always going to be deathly honest about the work that I am going through, the lessons that I am learning in real time with you. You are never going to get a perfect human here, but what you are going to get is an honest one that shares learnings, live, basically. So I hope that my experience of burnout has taught you something here, and that if you are also in this mode of like survival, it feels like, or you've lost the joy, lost the spark in your life, I encourage you that when you finish listening to this podcast, if you can, stick on your favorite song and just move your body, dance like nobody is fucking watching, and just be for a moment. Be a human being as we were absolutely designed to be, not in this modern world of constantly having things in demand of us. What a beautiful thing. What a gift to be able to experience the modern world. But also remember, you are a bit of an archaic and ancestral system living in a modern world. And occasionally we have to switch it off. We have to just come back to ourselves and just move or be present or create. Just do something that brings you joy and love and expansion. It feels really nice to be back. I know I only missed one episode, but it feels like ages since I've been sat on this mic. It's so strange. And I'm still finding like my groove in my new place. I still have absolutely no idea where most of my belongings are. Yeah, it's just very unsettled, and it's okay. It's okay. I'm just like slowly finding the things that I need every day and finding a little home for those, and the rest will just unravel as it needs to. But I have missed you guys. I'm really missed doing this last week. So I am back. And just to give you a little sneaky preview, we'll very soon be on camera. We'll very, very soon be coming to you, not just audio, but video as well. Oh, yeah, baby. And also, double spoiler, gonna have some guests. Oh, of which I've lined up some absolute crankers already. So, yes, lots to look forward to in this pod. And I think over the next 6 months, it's really going to grow and take on, huge different form. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited for all the things that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. But I love you. Thank you for being here. And if you noticed I wasn't here last week, big love to you, because to have someone coming back every week to listen to these episodes really does fill me with joy. So I hope things are good in your world. I hope you got something from this episode, and I will see you next week. Mwah.